In every great city, amid its glass towers and marble lobbies, there are stories that remain unseen, lives that unfold in shadows, too fragile to be noticed by the rushing world. This is the story of one such life, the story of Emily Parker. On an ordinary evening, Nathan Reed's car idles at a red light. His voice cuts through the silence as his eyes settle on a figure huddled against the wall of the old post office. A young woman, curled tightly against the night air, clutching a battered laptop bag as though it were a shield. To the world, she is invisible. To Nathan, she is about to become the most important figure in his company's survival. Her name is Emily Parker. She is not what she seems. The office intern others dismiss as the coffee girl carries within her the power to reshape the fate of an entire corporation. But to understand how Emily arrived at this moment, we must return to where her journey truly began. The internship 3 months earlier, Emily walked through the doors of Skywell Corporation. She wore the same navy blazer she had owned since her final year of college. Its seams carried the weight of years, its fabric slightly frayed but pressed carefully to hide its wear. She stood at the reception desk, holding resumes with edges slightly bent from her overnight shift at a local diner. Behind the desk sat Chloe Madison, head of human resources. Perfectly groomed, nails manicured to precision, she barely lifted her eyes before directing Emily toward a corner desk. Unpaid internship, coffee runs, filing data. Nothing more. Chloe's tone was sharp, final, dismissive. Emily nodded. Her voice came as a whisper. Thank you for the opportunity. To those around her, Emily was fragile, even timid. A girl grateful for scraps in a world of abundance. Yet beneath her quiet exterior burned a different truth. She was a keen observer, a student of psychology who had once dreamed of changing lives. Though circumstances had stripped her of her future, they had not erased her ability to see. Her eyes scanned the office, noting inefficiencies in workflow, the cracks in communication, the silent panic of analysts drowning in quarterly reports. She noticed everything, and yet no one noticed her. The unseen labor for weeks, Emily became the furniture, fetching coffee with quiet precision, filing reports with the diligence of an archivist. But while others left at 6, Emily stayed. Alone beneath the hum of fluorescent lights, she pored over data abandoned by exhausted analysts. She reorganized spreadsheets, corrected minor inconsistencies, and pieced together fragments of logic. To her, these tasks were not menial. They were puzzles, and puzzles had always been her gift. One Tuesday night, as the office lay silent, Emily's careful eyes caught something alarming. In the quarterly projection report, the very document that would determine whether Skywell retained investor confidence, there was a miscalculation. One error buried deep in formulas that would cost the company $3.2 million. Her stomach tightened. Her fingers trembled as she followed the thread. She could fix it. She knew she could. But who was she, an unpaid intern, to challenge the work of senior analysts? The cursor blinked on the screen, a silent demand. With a steadying breath, Emily began to type. What she did not know was that across the city, Nathan Reed, Skywell's founder and CEO, was pacing his penthouse, unable to sleep. His insomnia would soon bring him back to the office and into the orbit of the girl who had quietly saved his company. A sleepless CEO Nathan Reed had built Skywell from the ground up. A man who had once believed in innovation, in empathy, in people. But success had hardened him. The company was crumbling, clients leaving, investors doubting, and the future slipping through his grasp like sand. At 1:17 a.m., Nathan's car pulled into the underground garage. He rode the elevator to the 32nd floor, the building silent save for the distant hum of servers. Yet when the doors opened, he froze. Someone was there. In the pool of light from a single desk lamp, Emily sat hunched over her computer. Papers and sticky notes surrounded her like the fragments of a storm. Her fingers moved with surgical precision, weaving logic into order. Nathan stepped closer. On her screen was Skywell's failing customer retention algorithm, the very system that had cost them their biggest clients. Senior analysts had labored over it for months without success. Yet here before his eyes, an unpaid intern was rebuilding it with revolutionary clarity. His voice cut through the silence. How long have you been working on this? Emily spun around, terror flashing in her eyes. Her words stumbled. I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to be here this late. I was just... Answer the question. Her hands shook as she gestured to the screen. 3 weeks. Maybe 4. I kept noticing patterns in the data that didn't make sense. So I tried adjusting the parameters. Nathan leaned over, scanning her code. What he saw stunned him. This was not simply a correction. It was a reinvention. Emily had integrated psychological behavioral models into predictive algorithms in a way no consultant had imagined. You thought an unpaid intern could solve what my entire team could not? His tone was sharp, testing. Emily's face fell. She reached to close the laptop. I'm sorry. I'll delete it. I know it's not my place. Don't touch that keyboard. Nathan's authority froze her hand mid-motion. He scrolled further, disbelief transforming into recognition. This was brilliance. Not luck, not coincidence, but genius. Where did you learn to do this? Emily's voice steadied as she spoke of her unfinished psychology degree. Her thesis on behavioral economics, her obsession with decision-making patterns, her conviction that data meant nothing without understanding human emotion. For the first time, Nathan saw her clearly. Not the coffee girl, not the quiet shadow, but a mind that had been overlooked by a system that valued privilege over potential. Where do you live, Emily? The question caught her off guard. She hesitated, the truth fighting its way to the surface. Different places. It depends on the night. The weight of her words hit him like a blow. This brilliant girl who had just saved his company was homeless. Nathan's decision came swiftly. Print this analysis. Bring it to my office first thing Monday morning. We're going to have a conversation about your future here. As he turned to leave, Emily whispered, Am I in trouble? He looked back, his expression firm. No, Emily. For the first time in months, I think we might actually be saved. The promotion Monday morning. Emily stood outside the executive floor, her analysis clutched to her chest like armor. The marble floors reflected her nervous steps, each surface gleaming like a reminder that she did not belong. Inside Nathan's office, she handed him the report. He had been up all night reviewing it. Your model doesn't just identify why customers leave, he said, his tone deliberate. It predicts, almost 3 months in advance, who can be brought back. No one has ever done this. Emily swallowed hard. I only saw what was missing. People aren't numbers. They're emotional. They make decisions for reasons we ignore. Nathan listened. For once, he listened. And then he made a decision that would alter the course of Emily's life. Effective immediately, you are no longer an intern. You're Skywell's new strategic empathy advisor. Salary, $65,000 annually. Full benefits. Your own office. And if the system proves itself in 3 months, a senior team of your own. Emily stared, her vision blurring with tears. It was more than money. It was dignity. Security. A chance to save her mother. I don't understand, she whispered. Why me? Because you see what others cannot. And because somewhere along the way, I forgot how to. Emily signed the contract with trembling hands. For the first time in years, the impossible seemed within reach. The backlash but recognition comes with a cost. Word spread through Skywell like wildfire. The coffee girl had been promoted. The homeless intern now sat in a corner office. Whispers turned to venom. She must have something on Nathan, Chloe said at a staff meeting, her tone dripping with poison. It's insulting, scoffed Marcus Thompson, a senior analyst whose errors Emily had quietly corrected. We've been here for years. She walks in from the street and gets handed an office. The gossip grew sharper. I heard she was sleeping in the building, Marcus whispered to the receptionist. Makes you wonder what else she was doing after hours. Rumors spread like infection. Sabotage followed. Emily's computer access failed mysteriously. Her reports vanished, then reappeared altered. The printer jammed only for her, and the cruelest whispers echoed in hallways. I guess sleeping with the boss pays better than sleeping on the street, one voice said, loud enough for Emily to hear. The words broke her. In a locked bathroom stall, tears she had fought for months spilled freely. Success tasted like ash. Mr. Jenkins, the night security guard, found her later by the elevators. His voice was steady, calm. You know what I learned in 23 years of firefighting? The people who complain loudest about the rescue are usually the ones too scared to run into the burning building themselves. His words steadied her. But the attacks grew heavier. Then came the final blow, the article Thursday morning. A TechCrunch headline exploded across the internet. Skywell's desperate diversity hire. CEO promotes homeless intern after alleged relationship. Emily read in horror as her life was dissected in brutal detail. Her mother's cancer labeled convenient timing. Her shelter stays framed as manipulation. Her work dismissed as basic data entry exaggerated into genius. Anonymous sources, clearly insiders, painted her as deceitful, ambitious, undeserving. A photograph of her first day, blazer wrinkled, smile uncertain, was captioned, already planning her next move. The comments were vicious. Maybe she should go back to the streets. This is why companies fail. Handouts instead of merit. I wonder what else she did to get the promotion. Her phone buzzed relentlessly. Her mother's voice cracked through the line. "Sweetheart, this can't be true, can it?" Emily hung up before the sobs broke free. That night, in her glass-walled office, Emily stared at a resignation letter glowing on her screen. Professional, gracious, a lie. I believe it is time for me to pursue opportunities elsewhere. Her finger hovered over the send button, tears sliding silently down her face. Everything she had fought for was unraveling. But then, a knock at her door. Mr. Jenkins entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee and a manila folder. His eyes burned with quiet fury. "I read the article," he said. "Funny thing about anonymous sources. They always lie." The glow of the resignation letter still lit Emily's face when Mr. Jenkins set the manila folder on her desk. His weathered hands, calloused from decades as a firefighter before becoming Skywell's night guard, trembled with quiet purpose. "I know what you're thinking," he said, sliding a coffee toward her. "But before you send that letter, you need to see this." Emily looked at him, her eyes swollen from hours of silent tears. "It won't matter. They'll never believe me." Jenkins leaned closer. "Then don't give them the choice." Inside the folder were screenshots, copies of internal emails, and records from security logs. Each page told the same story: sabotage. One email from Marcus to Chloe. "If Reed actually believes that Intern solved the retention model, he's more desperate than we thought. We need to discredit her before he realizes she's a fluke." Another: "I'll leak it to TechCrunch under an anonymous tip. You handle the access blocks. She'll crack soon enough." And finally, security logs showing Marcus logging into Emily's account remotely, altering her reports, planting mistakes, fueling the very narrative used against her. Emily's breath caught. The betrayal was worse than she imagined. "Why are you showing me this?" she whispered. Jenkins' gaze was steady. "Because I've seen too many good people walk away when the fire got hot. And you..." He pointed at her trembling hands. "You're the only one in this building brave enough to run into the flames." Emily wiped her tears. For the first time in weeks, she felt the faint spark of defiance. The fight wasn't over. The decision the next morning, Emily walked into Skywell's glass headquarters with the folder clutched to her chest. Every step through the lobby was met with stares. Whispers followed her to the elevators. The article had painted her as a fraud. Her very presence now seemed to confirm it. But Emily kept walking. Past Chloe's icy smirk, past Marcus's smug laughter, she climbed to the top floor, where Nathan Reed waited. He stood by the window, skyline sprawling behind him, phone pressed to his ear. His face was drawn, weary from days of defending a company he no longer trusted. "Leave us," he told his assistant, his voice low. When the door shut, he turned to Emily. "You shouldn't be here." Emily's throat tightened, but she set the folder on his desk. "Then I'll make this quick. I didn't leak to TechCrunch. I didn't manipulate data, and I didn't earn this position by anything but hard work." Nathan's eyes narrowed, skepticism hardening his features. "Do you realize the storm you've caused me? Investors are threatening to pull. My board thinks I've lost my mind, and all because I believed in you." "Then believe me again," Emily said, pushing the folder toward him. He hesitated, then opened it. His eyes scanned the first email, then the second. His jaw clenched tighter with every page. When he reached the security logs, his face turned pale with fury. Chloe. Marcus. Emily's voice broke. They ruined me to protect themselves. I don't care what happens to me anymore, but if you let them keep running this place, Skywell won't survive. For a long moment, Nathan said nothing. He simply stared at her, weighing the girl who had once been invisible against the evidence she now laid bare. Then, at last, he spoke. Board meeting, 1 hour. Be ready. The confrontation. The boardroom was a cathedral of power. Polished mahogany table, floor-to-ceiling windows, portraits of past CEOs watching from the walls. At the head sat Nathan Reed, his expression unreadable. Chloe entered first, confidence radiating from her sharp heels. Marcus followed, smirking as though victory were already his. The other executives shuffled in, murmuring about the TechCrunch scandal. And finally Emily entered. Whispers erupted. "What is she doing here?" one director hissed. Nathan raised a hand for silence. "Before we begin, Ms. Parker has something to present." Emily's pulse hammered in her ears. Every eye was on her, each gaze heavy with doubt, but she forced herself to stand tall. 3 months ago, I was an unpaid intern fetching coffee in this building, she began. No one noticed me. No one cared. But while I was invisible, I saw things. Mistakes, patterns, failures no one else would touch. And when I tried to fix them, I was told I didn't belong, that I wasn't qualified, that I should know my place. Her voice trembled, but she steadied it. "So I'll show you why they worked so hard to silence me." She opened her laptop, projecting her model onto the screen. Graphs, predictions, recoveries, proof that Skywell's future could be rebuilt. Gasps rippled as directors recognized the accuracy of her forecasts. Then she dropped the folder onto the table with a decisive thud. "And here is why you almost lost it all." Nathan distributed copies. The room fell into stunned silence as board members read the damning emails. "This is outrageous!" Chloe snapped. "She could have forged these, except I verified the server logs myself," Nathan cut in, his tone like steel. "Every message originated from your workstation. Every login traceable to Marcus." Marcus blanched. "This is absurd. She's framing us." But the room had turned. Murmurs rose like a tide. Directors glared. One slammed a fist against the table. "You endangered a multi-million-dollar contract to protect your pride?" Chloe's voice cracked. "She's nothing but a homeless intern." "She's the reason this company still exists," Nathan thundered, rising to his feet. His voice echoed against the glass. "While you were scheming to protect your egos, she was saving us from collapse. You call her nothing? She's everything you've forgotten to value. Talent, resilience, and truth." The silence that followed was absolute. "Effective immediately," Nathan said coldly. "Chloe Madison and Marcus Thompson are terminated. Security will escort you from the building." The two sat frozen in disbelief as guards entered. Chloe's eyes burned with venom as she was led away, Marcus sputtering protests that no one cared to hear. When the doors shut, Nathan turned back to the board. "Now, let's talk about the future, with Ms. Parker at the table where she belongs." Redemption. In the weeks that followed, the storm began to clear. Investors returned. Skywell's stock steadied. Clients who had walked away began knocking once more. And Emily Parker, once invisible, once ridiculed, was now indispensable. But Emily herself remained cautious. Fame was a fickle currency. She declined interviews, ignored offers from rival firms. Her focus was singular, rebuilding Skywell from within. Nathan gave her the resources. A small team at first, 3 analysts, 2 behavioral scientists, and a data engineer. Under her guidance, they developed the empathy engine, a revolutionary system that combined psychology and predictive analytics to not only retain clients but anticipate their needs before they arose. The results were undeniable. Skywell's recovery became a case study in business schools worldwide. Yet within the company, Emily never forgot the whispers, the cruelty, the way her success had once been weaponized against her. So she built something greater. The mentorship program 6 months after the confrontation, Emily proposed a new initiative, the Horizon program. Its mission was simple: find overlooked talent. Those dismissed for their backgrounds, their appearance, their lack of privilege. Interns from shelters, students without degrees, veterans, immigrants, the disabled. Genius doesn't always come in polished shoes, Emily told the board. Sometimes it comes in shoes that walked too far, too long, and were ignored for it. At first, the board hesitated, but Nathan backed her, and within a year, Horizon became Skywell's most celebrated program. Graduates went on to leadership positions across industries. The company that once discarded the invisible now thrived because of them. A legacy of hope one evening. Long after the office had emptied, Emily returned to the old post office where Nathan had once seen her huddled against the cold. She sat on the same steps, laptop bag at her side, but this time, she was not alone. Beside her sat a group of Horizon interns, notebooks open, eyes shining with the hunger she once carried. She listened to their dreams, their fears, their doubts. And when one whispered, "No one will ever take me seriously," Emily smiled gently. "They said the same about me. But the truth is, the world doesn't get to decide your worth. You do, and when you finally show them, they won't be able to look away." Her words carried weight because they were lived, because the girl who once slept in shelters had risen not by chance, but by courage. Emily Parker's story was no longer just hers. It belonged to everyone who had ever been invisible, unheard, overlooked. A reminder that brilliance hides in unlikely places, waiting only for recognition. And in the grand halls of Skywell Corporation, her portrait now hangs among the founders. A quiet smile upon her face, blazer still slightly frayed, laptop clutched like a shield, a symbol of what it means to be seen at last. Because in the end, Emily Parker was invisible no more. Be traces. He set the folder down gently. Inside was evidence that would change everything.